All right, welcome everyone. I've got with me Niles today. How's it going, Niles?
Hello, everyone.
We are starting a new series. We have not finished the proposal series yet, but we're moving over to something that I think is a little bit higher priority now. We did actually make some good progress on that proposal stuff, but like I said, we are going live. Dash platform is going on mainnet this Monday, so I wanted to look into the JS SDK with you, Niles. And that was actually one of the reasons that we did the proposal stuff in general, was to give you a good introduction to the lay of the land in Dash. You saw the C++ Dash core code base. And also, we have used the JavaScript SDK in our walkthrough series that we did a couple weeks ago. So you've been introduced to that. We just spent some time debugging how to get the debugger set up with the JS SDK. We got that working now. So I'm going to go ahead and
only
share
took 5 minutes?
What's that?
It actually only took 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing some stuff for quite a while, but other stuff, just preparatory work here. The idea with the JS SDK is, as we've been doing the platform walkthrough series, we've come across several different bugs, and I want to be able to understand the SDK better. And taking a look under the hood so that I can understand what is going on under the hood when it's, first of all, like initializing the client. My hunch is that it's picking a random, it's contacting the seed nodes that are delivered by dash.org. And then it gives us a list of master nodes that the JS SDK can contact. And it gets a random one that you're going to basically have a session with. And whenever you do calls to that, to the network, it's actually contacting one of those random nodes that the seed list connects you with. Sometimes that node gives you an issue, and I'll go ahead and share my screen so that I can talk about this a little bit better. For example, I'm going to move this over. For example, when I was running earlier today, what command was it again? It was register a contract, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was an alarm.
Register contract. When I was first doing this, and I'll bump up the font here a little bit. Just lost it. This is what I got. You always get this warning.
Could you actually copy and paste that into a gist so we can save that?
You've got it. Let me actually bring that up because I have that on my GitHub. You already cloned it down. That was one of those other things that we were doing today. github.com/Ryan Gull. And I just made a repo of this, first look at Dash. And I have some notes that I was making as I was going through this.
Mm-hmm.
I had trouble registering a name. So this is the same thing. So it's online.
Is it?
You have the same thing where, and now I'll bump over here.
This is for register contract on the left. Register name is on the right.
Oh, okay. Maybe I was having issues with.
Scroll down.
Yeah. So I'll just, while I'm
contract.
here, I'll talk about this one real quick. This one's a known issue. So if we go to github.com/let's see. pay/platform. And then go to the issues. SDK no longer works with DPNS related methods. And that is what I ran into.
That's what I saw as well when we ran it before the stream on my computer.
Yeah. So that's like a known issue that they're working on. So I'm not going to focus on that one, but this one is, and then now I'll go back to my notes here. Register contract. Bump up the font here. This SPV error, every now and then you'll get this error when you try to do the register contract, and maybe even other ones that I haven't really noticed. So I'll make an issue for this on GitHub at some point, but this is just one of many issues that we've had with the JavaScript SDK, and I want to be able to like walk through it with you, because the higher level goal is that, and I don't know if it's going to be you doing this or maybe Dash Core Group will do it, but we're going to get started on it regardless.
Mm-hmm.
I want to look into how we would wrap the Rust SDK into a JavaScript library. So I'll ask you to do that. I'll ask you to bring up your screen share in a minute here, and we'll go through that as well. But
first we were focusing on like looking at the JavaScript SDK as it is. Seeing what that's doing.
Yeah, so that we can look at that. So that's what we're going to keep doing for now. But I just wanted to also say that to fix this, and unfortunately, when I had you do it earlier today before we got on the stream, I was hoping to see the same error on your side. But to fix this, what you have to do is you have to add in this DAPI addresses and then just give a good known IP address, so that instead of the SDK, presumably instead of the SDK just contacting any of the the addresses, IP addresses for the master node network, it's going to contact this one specifically because you know that it's good or whatever. And then that gets you through and gives you a successful registration. But we unfortunately you weren't able to reproduce that today. Like in our platform walkthrough series, we've run into it maybe half of the time. And half the time it doesn't. It's fine. So yeah, that was kind of a bummer that we couldn't reproduce it. It seems to be kind of random, but that's the whole point actually, is that I want to kind of look into under the hood to see what is going on in the SDK. So now I'm going to stop my screen share and turn yours back on.
Okay. So depending on what we find in here, one, it's possible that we can, pick a known bad IP address and reproduce it that way. It's also possible, at the very least, maybe we can just add some logging so that, when we do catch it again, we can print out useful information for how to reproduce it. Yeah. So those are the two like kind of ideas that I have for what we might accomplish in terms of trying to figure out how to reproduce the issue and actually track it down. And then to the other point, we do want to explore at some point. You said we might not do that today, but the potential of wrapping the Rust SDK, with a JavaScript library that wraps a WebAssembly compiled version of the Rust SDK. So.
Yeah, and I don't think that we'll get to that today, because I first want to just explore the Rust SDK with you. Rust is something I don't know at all, and so that's one of the reasons why you're here, is you can figure out Rust, and you already know Rust to some degree, as far as I know. And I want to compare the APIs because I want to get an idea. I want to get a rough idea of how different are these SDKs in the first place. Like, in terms of feature parity, I know one thing for sure is that the JavaScript SDK does not return proofs from Dash Platform. And that's kind of an important part of Dash Platform, is that it gives you cryptographic proof that the data that you're getting from this node is actually the data that the whole network has agreed upon, and not just one rogue master node, for example. And so I want to look into the Rust SDK of how they're doing that. And, depending on what we decide to do for this JavaScript SDK, like there's 3 routes that we can go with it. There's the route where we just kind of try to fix and update the existing JavaScript SDK so that it's feature parity with the Rust SDK. Then there's also the route where we just wrap the Rust SDK and not try to bring the JavaScript SDK natively up to feature parity. And then there's the third route where we would basically not start over from scratch with a new JavaScript SDK, but use some of the incubator libraries that we've already developed that have a lot of the core functionality, like creating seed phrases and wallets and HD paths and stuff like that. That's something AJ's doing. And then basically use both the Rust SDK and the existing JavaScript SDK as references to build new libraries to add into the like what we built with Dash Hive, so that we can add platform support to a new JavaScript SDK, which would be a lot more lean, because the existing JavaScript SDK is very old. It has a lot, like 10 years plus of dependencies and stuff, dating all the way back to Bitcoin days when we forked this from Bitcoin code bases. So yeah, you're bringing up the node modules directory there on the right, and that's just, you see all this. We looked at this last week when we had you on Incubator Weekly, and just like the dependency tree on npmgraph.org or whatever it was, and it was the big sprawling thing. So that's why I'm like inclined to want to start over from scratch and use our existing Dash Hive Dash incubator libraries to do the Dash stuff, and then just add platform support by referring to the Rust SDK and the JavaScript SDK. But and all of this stuff we kind of need to have conversations with DCG about. But I wanted to get a head start so that we could at least ask some intelligent questions when we do come to them. They are busy doing other stuff right now. Obviously, they've got launch Monday, and so they're not focused on this. And they've mentioned that the JavaScript SDK is second in line in terms of SDKs. The Rust is their thing. So I don't know if it's going to take 2 days, 2 weeks, or 2 months for them to get to fixing this. But my big concern is that when Dash Platform launches on mainnet, we're not going to really have a good, reliable I want a good, reliable JavaScript SDK. So, because I don't see a lot of demand for Dash Platform outside of a web environment personally. I don't think a lot of people there's not going to be a lot of Rust developers that are interested in Dash Platform, but I think that there can be a lot of traditional web developers that could use this as what I've said in the past, like storage, payments, and authentication in traditional apps. I think there's a much bigger market for web developers. So I do want to have like a good working JavaScript library. So anyway, that's the preamble about why we're starting this series, why we're here today, and what I need your help with.
I wanted to say, I still think a lot of these are dev dependencies, like this ESLint stuff. That's for like formatting, and ESPrima, I think, as well. I don't think that we're actually using all of these at runtime, and also some of these are like trivial ones. Like I showed a couple that were just like, oh, we have a function that just iterates over the entries and sorts them or reverses it or whatever.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm sure there are a bunch of those, but like if you go to, let's open up the dash. Let's open up package JSON, and then can you bump up your font like 3 or 4 notches? Yeah. So let's go to package JSON. Oh, not in this. We want to open up the dash SDK itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a bunch of scripts, and then you'll see the dependencies, and you see dev dependencies there, but
Right.
like we looked at in the npm graph, like I don't think that those are included. Why you're seeing so many dependencies is because it brings up to the top level all of the dependencies of the dependencies. So
right.
let's
Could we bring up that npm thing again?
Yeah,
I
was just going to tell you to do that. Go open up a new tab and just go. I think it's npmgraph.org. Could be .com. Just Google npm graph. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Here you go.
Oh, .js. Yeah.
Dash. Is it dash or dash D?
Just dash. Yeah.
Dash. Okay. So all these are sneaking in from somewhere, I think. Okay, so these are the ones that we see at the top level, right? Yep. Okay. So
I don't know if you can zoom in, but if you can, go ahead and do that.
Yeah, let me just keep it zoomed out for a second.
Sure.
So these are like the top levels, right? But there's a lot of stuff that's creeping in here. Like this TypeScript, what is that used for? TSD, what is that used for? Following this line here. Dash core lib. So this one's using TSD. What is TSD? It's well, I guess actually TypeScript doesn't even have dependencies, but it's this ESLint going on that is pretty crazy. And then we got meow. Let's look at meow. I would also say it looks like a lot of these are like trivial as well. Like has own, for example, version 2.0.2.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that there are a lot of trivial things that just modern JavaScript, the language itself, would cover. It's just a lot of work to fix all of it.
Yeah. Anyways. Yeah, so we just we have yarn package PNPify. So this one advises you to make it a dev dependency. That's what this means.
Yeah.
So maybe
Well,
is
that puts it, that makes it a dev dependency for sure.
Right. Yeah. And so maybe that should be a dev dependency, and this tree should be cut off. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I probably have this, right? I have.
You're on package, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So it is
that
listed as a dependency and not a dev dependency. That's why it's in the dependencies tree. Whether it needs to be is another question.
Right. Well, yeah. Anyways, we don't have to bark up this tree right now, but I think there's probably some low hanging fruit where that probably should not be. It probably should be a dev dependency, but anyways. Yeah. Do you want to step through it a little bit and just see what's happening?
Yes. In the, like, specifically on the new dash dot client, I want to step through from there. And
what are you talking about?
Yeah. So, sorry, what was your question?
You said the new dash dot client. What does that mean?
Yeah, and you go to the client.js page again.
Oh, you're talking about this?
Yeah. So
gotcha.
Like that's where I'd want to step into that.
Okay.
I'm gonna go away for a little bit. I gotta call my wife.
Okay. Good luck. I meant nothing by that for everyone watching. Okay. So we got a network, testnet, we got a mnemonic, and that's, we got a cool object. So let's step inside. And we are inside an object. Let's see if there's any outer information. Looks like we have some system IDs. Interesting. Okay. Aside from that, not much else. If options is undefined, I love that, then make an object. And then we want to do a super call with this or this. So I did step into, and it didn't take me into super call. So maybe that's because there's a little bit of weird JavaScript stuff happening here. But it probably doesn't matter. Well, let's just keep going. So we set the network to be testnet. Maybe that's just the default and we overwrite it afterwards. And then we put our options in here.
I'm back. I'm gonna step out for like 20 minutes.
Okay.
So like the main thing that I wanted you to be able to figure out for now is how it's actually getting the IP address that it then presumably talks to. So I don't know how long that's going to take you, but that I kind of wanted to like figure out, is my hunch correct that it's getting a seed, it's contacting dash.org/seed nodes or whatever. I think I've seen this code before. And just like, what is it doing in terms of getting that random node? And is it, the main question is there some kind of retrying implemented so that if there's a bad node, it tries to contact, or if you get an error, it tries to contact another node so that it gets through? Because as I was saying earlier in the call, I've noticed that if I tell it which node to use, then things start working. And so, one low level fix that we could do, or high level or whatever, low hanging fruit is what I meant to say, is if we could get some kind of retries working, that would be better. But I don't know if that's the best fix. That's what I need you for as well. So anyway, I'll be back in 15, 20 minutes. Got to put some kids to bed.
Okay. All right. So initialize wallet if wallet option is preset. So if it's not undefined, in this case, that's correct. If the network is not undefined, then we do this. We make a new wallet object. And this looks like a transpiled code to me. So we have, you know what? I actually found a bug in TypeScript with this specific thing, where if you have a side effect in an object that's being spread out, like in the object spreading syntax, before it wouldn't maintain proper execution order. And so sometimes I see code that's compiled correctly, and I think, hey, that's because I complained about it. So we got transport null network is this dot network, and then we take the options from there. And that's it's funny because I just feel like we've overwritten that network variable like 4 times already, but whatever. Okay, so we make a new wallet object, and we assign to wallet.prototype these things. That's probably a little redundant. To give access in constructor. Okay, cool. Then we say, does opt have passphrase? If it does, then use opt.passphrase. Otherwise, do a default. So we're just going to default these options. And let's see what we got. So we got null, we got false, 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 true. That was the one that we set. What is the default? Empty object. Wait for instant lock timeout. Wait for TX metadata timeout. Okay. Okay, we figure out the network name, which is testnet again, right? And then we look this up. This is just a basic map, right? What is this? I'm just curious. Oh, this is an actual get function here. So we do the bitwise not. Very fancy. Very fancy up in here. So if it's -1 and you do the bitwise not, it'll flip it to 0. That's so fancy. Oh my gosh. Whoever did that. Okay, we check keys, which was what? Undefined. Network. What did we end up getting? We got some aliases. That's cool. Okay. So now we want to get network to string yet again. Put testnet in there yet again. We've done that like 5 times so far. Okay. Well, I suppose it's only like twice for this function, but if mnemonic is in options, then pull it out. If it's null, then we would generate it. It's not null. So that article was correct, where it has to be null in order to generate a new one. So that's cool. And then we do this stuff from mnemonic, and we pass in. Oh, I don't have a passphrase. Oh, this is just like this is a primitive way of checking if it's the mnemonic class. Okay. Yeah, I think you can use like the is operator or something, but whatever. Or instance of, actually. Instance of. Anyways, so it's a string. It could have been a mnemonic object. We trim it just in case there was white space on the edges. We make an HD wallet. What does HD stand for? I forget. I was just told this the other day. I don't remember. Okay, mnemonic is trim mnemonic. HD private key. So in this case, we make a new mnemonic object. This is kind of funny, I guess. Phrase equals unorm.nfkd. Interesting. All right, let's go back up. I actually don't care too much about what that's doing. What is ent? Probably an entry point of some kind. Check and detect word list. So this is probably... I'm just curious, so I just want to see what it's doing. So we got words. Oh, there you go. So we got 2048 words. Interesting. So you have it in different languages. And we're iterating over the different languages that we have. And then we normalize according to NFKD. And we split the string. What does that give us? Oh, this is just for our passphrase or for a mnemonic. And so we iterate over the words and we look at index, and it turns out that words I does not exist in the word list. Oh, okay. See what it's doing. So we're iterating over each dictionary. And now this one is going to actually return because, so this is going to find out which dictionary we're in just by trying each of them. So hopefully that assumes that each of these word lists are disjoint, first of all. Because, you know, some words are the same between like Spanish and English or what have you. So hopefully. There's only 2048 though. I assume that people got it right. We could check, but do we have a seed? No. Validate the phrase. I just want to see. So we validate the phrase. First, we normalize it again. We say, get the dictionary again if we don't have it. We already have it though, so that's good. Sorry if I'm boring anyone. Okay, so we got words, which is the same thing that we had before. We got bin. Does it exist as an index? Yes, it does. Wait. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's one way of doing it. Especially if you don't want to import a pad start back before that was built in. That's kind of funny, actually. I mean, it's a smart way of doing it, I guess, but it's just funny. CS is 4. Hash bits is bin.slice at -4. And then non-hash bits is everything else. And then we do the number of bits over 8. So this is the number of bytes in the non-hash. For each of the non-hash bytes, we write it into the buffer. Okay. Interesting. This assumes this is divisible by 8, right? And it makes sense that it would be based off of this function. Okay. Entropy checksum on the buffer. What the heck is that? So we SHA to 56. We get the number of bits. We figure out the number of 4-byte values. We turn it into hex. We 0-pad the hash bits. Okay, that's one way of doing it. And then, okay, whatever. So I'm sorry, where did this actually come from in the end? We sliced the hash bits 0 through CS. All right. This stuff doesn't actually matter, but I'm just interested. So we make a phrase because we didn't have one before, I think. And let's just keep going. So we make a keychain store. So we got a map, a null. We make a derivable keychain, which is a private key. And I want to see if anyone is saying anything. Nobody's saying anything. I am not as popular today. That's okay. All right. So we got derivable keychain, HT private key is copied into there. And what is this for? There's no documentation on that one. So we do that. And what do we get? We actually did get some stuff. What did this one do? The only thing I don't like about this code is it just feels like there's... Well, one thing that I like to do in my code is I like to have, like, if you look at a graph of the code, I actually like as much of the code as possible to be leaf nodes. And then I'll have one or two functions that just have references to those leaf functions. Whereas when you have this like tree that looks very nice from a tree perspective, then you're calling the same functions a lot, and you're juggling data around a lot, using the same functions but on slightly different pieces of information, and sometimes it makes it harder to follow. So what is this doing? We look at the keys of paths. Paths is empty. If it's 0, then we return an empty thing. So it looks like we are not looking ahead, whatever that meant. We add a keychain. Do we have this keychain ID? We definitely do not. We add it. This is okay. It makes sense. If ops, and check that. So if it is a master keychain and master keychain ID is null, then we pull from keychain.keychain ID and we write that in. Fun times. So this generated a new wallet. Most of the time, the wallet ID is deterministic. I like that. It's mostly deterministic. That's kind of funny. It's like saying you're a little pregnant. I don't know. Skip synchronization before height. Whoa, we're doing that? Wait a minute. Okay. Okay, so we want to configure the storage with this adapter that we don't have, a wallet ID, and a network. That took a second to pull up. So we're just writing in a ton of properties so far. Oh, what was that? Did I just finish? Oh, I finished. Okay, so we just wrote a bunch of properties in, and now we made it to register contract. So we make the function, and now we actually call it, or at least we put it in the thread scheduler and waited for it to pick it up. And now we have client.platform.identities.get. Now, if I hit F11, will it actually take me inside of the code? It will. Amazing. Okay, so this is transpiled code, and I really do not like reading this. There's a reason why it's a feature in JavaScript. Yeah, I mean, this is just way too hard to read, honestly. But let's just see if we can find the next thing that we're doing. No. We're going to call into our code at some point, right? This is our code. But it's another fancy thing. So I can pretty much, I'm guessing that we could actually get the code that does not look like this, and that would make it a lot easier. Let's see where we can get without it for now. Wait, what was that? Yeah. It would be cool if there was some kind of way to like make your debugger completely ignore all this stuff that is polyfill. All right, who wrote this? Michael, was it you? You write it like this? I know somebody's like, I don't need white space. Well, we're doing something. I'm just going to go up. I don't care about this. Let's just go up again and again and again and again and again. Because I don't care about any of this. I wanted to play nice, but I don't think we're doing that. Okay. How did we end up here? This is a configure.js file. So we got storage. We got get item. Did we actually do a rehydrate and I just skipped over that? Oh. Well, rest in peace. Okay, cool. Oh, I hit step into and it didn't step into that one. I wonder if that might be a node thing maybe? Okay, so we add listeners to a bunch of data. And now we're in some transpiled code. I don't think any of this is relevant. Okay. We don't care about that. Here's a DNS resolver. Hey, maybe this is what we care about. All right, we got a DNS resolver. Why did we stop right there? Oh, it was because of a promise. We made a promise. Oops. Okay. So we filter out the address family to be the 4s and the 6s. And we merge those arrays. Wait, what? We merge. Okay. That's funny. And then we map. That's so funny. Oh, come on. Show me the latest lookup result. Oh, it took me into map, so now I can't look at it. Dang it. Okay, so we got host and port. Really? Unsuccessful resolution. Sorry, guys, I'm a little tired. I just spent a long day. Okay, so we got working config list, load balancing config, update address list. This is the 3 addresses that we started with. I want to copy those, but I'm not sure that I can. So we're just going to have to type them. And it's all port 1443, huh? So yeah, so this is yet a different one from any of those. So, okay, so I think I accomplished the one thing I wanted to, which is I should be able to print out the bad ones. So I figured out where that information actually comes from. Pick first. We got pick first and we got round robin. Interesting. I should have just let it go inside that. Okay. Load balancer attempts to connect to each backend in the address list in order. Picks the first one that connects, using it for every request. And what about the other one? Round robin. Looks like we also have child handler. But yeah, if we look at round robin, do we have anything? I mean, I think I understand the concept of round robin, but it would be cool if it had a little documentation. Maybe in here. Definitely not in here. All right, let's go back. So we're going to call a function with a delay of 0. Oh, what just happened? What just happened? Why is it doing stuff? Did I tell it to do that? Can we stop it? Oh, I'm not doing that again. Dang it, can we just... Why? Seriously, the definition is just function? Come on, home dog. Come on. Come on. Give me a second. I have one of these Go macro bars I want to eat. Right, let's go back. because I'm using VS Codium as opposed to VS Code.
Hey, I'm back.
Welcome back.
What's happening?
Well, I found the portion of code that can tell us what IP addresses there are available to us.
Okay.
And I figured out a couple things. So there's 2 load balancers in the code that it chooses between. There's a round robin one, and there's a pick first one, and it goes to the pick first one. And so whichever one connects first, I think, is the one that just goes with. This one is the default. So I also transcribed these IP addresses. And these are all port 1443. But these were the options that I was given.
Oh,
which is different from this one.
Just 3? Where do they come from, though? Did you find the where it gets like a larger list of seed nodes?
That is not a question that I thought of. Let me see. Yeah, it wouldn't let me go inside of this one, but when I go inside of this one, okay, so it did let me go in here. Let me try it again. So this is transpiled code, which makes it impossible to read.
Yeah, well, we can look at the source code though. Does it have source maps? Does it do that?
Yeah, it should have source maps, but okay. There should be a button I can press where it will open it. Over here. Oh yeah. There you go. So yeah, we have maps. Amazing. But yeah, end of the day, it'd be nicer to look at the original code from this.
Mm-hmm.
So let me open up GitHub.
It's going to be on platform.
Thank you.
Yep, and it's packages. It's yep. And here are the SDKs. The Rust one was there too.
So this was the file that we were just looking at. So let's look at one of the files that was kind of hard to parse. Let's go back here. Contacts, create JS. Methods, contracts. So yeah, so this is the original code here. thinking. So
Interesting that they have JS doc and types in a TypeScript file.
Well, let me try again. Let's go inside of here. I did actually make it inside of that function. It's just difficult. Yeah. We want...
I wonder if it would make sense to try to do a build that didn't change the variables, like didn't
yeah, it'd be a lot easier without dealing with
stepping through the
transpile
source code instead.
Yeah. Because this is for like if you don't have promises, I think, on your machine, it will still work.
So I was seeing WASM in there.
Okay. So yeah, this is where I was before. We create a wallet, create some other stuff. We actually just fill up a whole bunch of data. And then we do this emit. And we have start auto reconnect. So here's subscribe to masternode list.
Ah, yes. Okay. Let's see. Subscribe to masternode list. Simplified masternode list provider. So it's a stream. So I'd like to see like the whole list that it gets and then how it selects that list, how it selects among the list. You know what I mean? Because the masternode list should be like on testnet, it should be hundreds, I think, or maybe tens. On mainnet, it's thousands of servers that it can choose from. Although I'm not sure if it's, let's see, simplified masternode list. So can we get to a point where we can just see the list that it gives us? And I guess we skipped over or already went through the part where it gets the seed nodes, or maybe not. I don't know. What does that MN list say again? A little higher. 546 items right there. MN list. Yes. This looks. There's the IP. There's the service right there. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, hundreds.
Oh, look. Some of them are not. That's interesting. Now, I should be able to scrape these, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, oh look, so there's MN list. It has an array portion. Oh yeah. And then there's also valid MNs. So I assume valid MNs is a subset. Where were we? I'm afraid if I hit F11, I'll skip over this. Yeah. So we already had a simplified masternode list when we called this. Oh yeah, this is just like a getter. I've never been big on getters. I don't like them. Okay, so MN list. Yeah, what we could do is we could just say grab the service. Like that.
Mm-hmm.
MN list is not. Oh, it's in this. Doesn't like it. Well, how about we do this one? How is this? Oh, it's inside of simplified. That's why. Duh. Do I have to type it? There you go. So yeah, so here's that 526 things. Another thing we could do is we could do new set. That reduces it down to 498 because presumably a bunch of them are these, or a couple of them are at least. But I notice that that's different from just valid MNs. I also notice this is 100, which is a round number in our decimal system. So it's possible that they just picked.
Yeah,
they just stopped at 100.
There's quorums of master nodes, so there's always like sets. There's always quorums that are forming, and there are different sizes of different quorums. So yeah, it's defined to be 100. And I'm not sure like if it's the same on mainnet or not, but
Okay. Well, can I copy my data out somehow? It's not exactly what I wanted. Let's try again. I messed it up because of the set. We don't want that. Let's just take it off. Cool. So now I have this.
Mm-hmm.
If you want, we could try some of these out.
Oh yeah, to get back to see if we could get that error.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can just delete these. So that's cool. Are these all? It says 451. How many of them are there total? There's more than that.
496, it looks like.
Yeah, so some of these are not this one. So can I do a negative look ahead? What's the way to do this? I don't remember. I thought I was going to get it. Negative look ahead. All right, there's this one. But don't we also need, don't we need something else? Okay. Yeah, 1998, 1003, right? 18888. Okay, cool. So I guess it did work.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, there you go. So these are the ones that are different ports. Okay. So, anyways, we could try some of these out. Let's go. Let's stop our debugger for now. You okay with that?
Yeah. Did you put a breakpoint where we were by chance or no?
No, but since I have where we were,
just in case we
I
want
can
to
go
come
back
to it later.
Right there if we want. Okay, so DAPI address. So we could iterate through these, presumably, but let's see how it interacts. So we make a client that gets exported. We import the client here, and then we do some stuff with it. So let's actually just move this program over. Let me look. Yeah, let's actually just move this over to register contract for now. And we'll put this at the top just for fun. And I'm not using that. And yeah, so we're going to make a different client every time. So we don't need that. So we're going to make a bunch of different clients. And we're going to feed it data from here. So we could do so if we split it on that, that should give us out the proper string. And then we can map it. I think it's upset because it's a long line. There we go. So if I do it, yeah, now it works. Okay, so if I map it to DAPI addresses, then I can make a client like this. Amazing. So this will give us a whole bunch of clients. Is that going to be dangerous? I think the client just fills it with a bunch of data, right? When you construct it. I think that's what I was seeing in the constructor here, because this didn't actually do anything. It just wrote a bunch of data in, and it wrote a bunch of defaults in. And so this should be fine. So here's our client. Now this is an async call. Will that hurt us? I think it'll be fine. It'll be fine. What's the worst that could happen? That this command will take a year to run?
We might want to start with like
just 10 or something.
10, yeah. There you go.
Let's do like 5. Okay, could try it. And yeah, let's look at the package JSON again. Register contract. And this just puts in our environment. Okay. Let's try it. I wrote the wrong thing right here. I'm sorry, what is the problem? DAPI addresses.map. Okay. It's because it was supposed to be an array, and I messed that up. So the DAPI addresses is an array.
Mm-hmm.
What does it do when there's multiple in there?
But I think that it's like a whitelist, as far as I can tell.
Okay, well, we can just wrap it like that.
How many did we do?
5. This one came back really quick. Do we have duplicates in here still?
I'm not sure. We took out all the
Yeah, so this is the last one that gets done. Okay, let's add a printer so that we know which one is doing something. really want to switch to TypeScript, but I don't want to make it complicated right now in front of everybody. Okay, so we got client. We want to be able to do I don't know where the data is that we want. Well, there's only 5, so I should be able to just do it this way. We're still waiting on some of them, too. Okay, yeah. Deadline exceeded, no connection established.
I don't think that we want the addresses in that array, because that's just saying we can pick from any of these, but we want to we essentially want to go through each one sequentially and have it be the only DAPI address.
Okay. I mean, yeah, we could do this and just go through, but I feel like these IPs might be down. That's what it looks like to me. We can try it one at a time if you want. Oh, this is printing out the object. So inside of, oh wait, we already know that because that's the one we passed in. Well, we want to do that anyways. Let's do it. So let's do. Like that. And I want to cut it short here just to make sure. Yep, I get it. Data's not persisting. Okay, so yeah, we just print out the port that we're looking at. Should be the first one. It's the same. And yeah, I think that it's just down. Let's open a new terminal and do another one. Yeah, so you can see different ones.
Why is that warning printing out so many times?
Could be a lot of things, to be honest. It could be the terminal itself, like there.
If you did it like in an actual terminal, do you think that would fix it? Like it might be just the VS Code terminal issue.
Nope. Oh, wait, that was just. Yeah, this is a timeout error. So is this? That's not on the list. That's not on the list. And what was that known address that you were using before? So yeah, these are all. I mean, none of these are these ones, which is what I was seeing before.
Mm-hmm.
And if we actually did it,
that's what I'm wondering. How is it getting that subset of three of those? And are those three deadline exceeded?
Yeah. So
it's definitely doing some kind of retrying.
let's just put this in here.
Was that one that worked?
It was one that I got out of that list when I was stepping through before while you were gone.
Oh, okay.
So let's see if it works. Oh, it's still going. Let's kill it. And
the one that I've that's always worked for me is 44.227.
Oh, I forgot to put this one down. There we go.
Hey, look, just one warning this time.
Oh, it's supposed to be port 1443. Oh.
Why is that one? Why would that one have a port and the other ones don't?
All three of these did. I just didn't write it out 3 times.
I've never had to write a port there, though.
Really?
Not in there.
I thought you did.
Uh-uh.
This one?
Oh, wait a minute. Let me see. Let me check my notes again. Oh, you're right. I did have that. I did have the 1443 in there. Huh. Okay. I'm just going to check the documentation on that.
How does it know so quickly that no connection was established? Am I banned or something? Max retries reached. Because it's doing it instantly. Which means it's not waiting. But you have good luck with this one. So it's possible those addresses are for something else. Or they are something else, or yeah, see, this one works. Okay. So maybe I should have just grabbed known good addresses. So let's kill these. And let's go back. See, so this one worked again. So
wait, which one worked?
The one that you use that typically works.
Oh, and that was the right port. So I just sent a private chat in StreamYard That's the documentation for the SDK client. And it's actually showing port 3000 for some reason. So I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah. Well, you can. I mean, Dash can probably start it on different ports.
Yeah.
Depending on what you want to do. There's probably a default. 3000 sounds to me more like a default, but okay. Did my code actually make it somewhere yet, or what? Oh. So it just didn't hit breakpoints at all? Okay. Well, how about now? Something went wrong. Oh, it's because I did that. Try it again. Okay, so this is where we were. And I pulled out MN list. We could pull out valid MNs instead. I could do that.
So these quorums, they're always changing. So I'm not sure if it's, if we have a list at some point, that list may become invalid sometime later.
Okay. Back here. And let's undo that. I have this back. Let's look. So this one exists. We actually did test that one already, and that one failed. This one exists. This one exists. Yeah, it's probably a subset. I could write a function to check that, but I'm just doing the most right now. So let's do this. I'm just going to send it. Oh, it actually stopped. Did we do all of them? We must have pinged all of them.
You probably just took down the whole network.
With one request each? I don't think so. Come on. It's not like I'm DDoSing them.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I am, and I just don't know it. Oops.
Yeah, I mean that wouldn't be our fault. There should be some protection against that.
Okay. So this is not giving us the information that we would have liked. We were just going off of my guesses. Do you have any insight into this? So let me just see. So yeah. Oh, wait, there is one thing down here. We got 101. Look at that, and 100. cool, I guess. Oops, wrong one. So yeah, I checked out MN list. I checked out valid MNs. Yeah, so maybe this was just the wrong place to look. So let's just look at this. The other thing that's difficult about debugging this is that there's a whole bunch of promises happening, and they get picked up a little bit differently each time. What is this? Oh, here's get all addresses. Is this the same data? These ones I recognize from the bottom, I think.
Those all have the same. Those all
This
have
one.
1443 port also.
Oh, it's slightly different. But maybe that's just because it's a different run now. But we might still have it. We might still have 35.163. Yeah, it might be in there. Okay. Let us Does this come just from where does this come from? The ProReg transaction hash?
All of this comes from the masternode list that
I actually did see the code that wrote out the host, and it put the port on there. Really?
I still don't know where how it's getting this list. Like I was gone for that part. So
1443. Okay, we already know that. Okay, we want it to be 1.
Four, 227, 137.
I swear that I was looking at it. If we go back and look at the recording, there's a part where we say like dot port equals this. Yeah, I think I was looking at this. What's the default port? 443. That's not 1443. But I think I saw this get copied over somewhere else. Let's look at a different one. That's also 443. That's the DNS resolver. I wasn't looking at that before, I think. Oh, that's map. I shouldn't have clicked that. Now we're going to listen to my fans. Dang it. It's frozen. Come on.
Can you close it?
I can kill it, but I want.
I mean, just the file right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Now we wait. Oh, there we go. Okay, we do not click anything that says .min.js. We don't look at those. Seeing a lot of 443s and not a lot of 1443s. That's interesting. Okay, well, I still want to pull these ones out. So let's do that. This dot addresses map. And yeah, I saw a piece of code that did this. Oh, that was where I wanted to be. Okay. So, or no, we don't want that one. We want this one. All right, let's do this one. Oh, a lot of them are working.
You know what? While we're here, let's fix that code. Let's print the contract ID after it finishes.
Okay.
Just put that log after, even after the contract registered line. Yeah.
Okay. My fan is going again. We must be doing something intense in JavaScript right now. You know, a weird thing about WebAssembly is that the assembly part of it, it's like a stack-based virtual machine. Whereas all the computers that we have nowadays, and for a very, very, very long time, have been register-based. So the stack-based, I think it makes more sense for running in an interpreter. But if you wanted to translate it into like x86 instructions and then run those, it would probably be more helpful if it was already in register form. Maybe that's not true. Maybe the translation is pretty easy. I don't know. That's just a random thought I have. It's just weird to me because you know, I've looked at a lot of assembly, and so when I switched to WebAssembly, it's stack based, and so it's weird and a little bit harder to read it. Whatever. Okay, so the state transition's already in chain. I'm assuming that's because I made it in to one of them, and they're not all going to do it, right?
Yeah.
It's good that it errored though, instead of like breaking the blockchain. So
oh, look,
gotta give them credit for that.
One of them registered.
Yeah. Oh, looks like the registered confirmation came back after errors from some other ones. So that's cool though that the system properly is protected against this problem.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's not what I was hoping it would do, though. I was hoping we would see exactly which ones would break.
Yeah,
I was hoping some of them would break.
That's why I think that we have to like do it one by one instead of like maybe you put a breakpoint and then we can just step through it manually, but have the script be.
So what is the reason that state transition is already in the chain? Why is that happening? Because we're putting a different.
You did the whole list, right? You didn't trim it this time.
I did all of these.
Yeah.
But this isn't as big of a list as before.
Yeah.
This is only.
Well, the state transition.
33.
Everything that writes to the chain is basically called a state transition, because that's what the nodes are. That's what the blockchain's doing, is creating a series, tracking a series of state transitions.
Mm-hmm.
And so this proposal, what are we doing? Registering contract. That's a state
Mm-hmm.
transition. So once one of them succeeded, it makes sense to me why a subsequent call with the same, because you notice in the logs all the state
the contract IDs were the same.
Yeah.
So we're doing client.platform.contracts.create. We're creating based off of this an identity.
So
Is this idempotent?
The identity stays the same the whole time.
The identity stays the same. And does it change run to run of the program? Like what is changing? If I ran this again, but just with one of them, why would that be any different is my question. Let's go back and grab this. So that's the contract ID that we had that time. And let's actually move this up again so we can just see this, but we're only going to do one of them this time. That was the slowest clear I've ever seen. So yeah, it's a different contract ID now.
Mm-hmm.
So why did that happen? Is it because this can't be different? This is a constant, right? There's no special information in here. The identity, on the other hand, is somehow changing, maybe? Or maybe it's just the fact that we're generating something different. I'm going to kill it. WBG pointer. 3080928. It's the same. But that's just the way that it's printing. Let me try stepping in. Identity. The heck is that? Let's actually step in if it will let us. And it won't. Yeah, we're going to have to get the non-transpiled code to do this well.
Mm-hmm.
To figure that specific thing out. But I'm a little curious why the contract ID is different. What we could do instead of doing it at the JavaScript level is we could just do it in Bash, or we could just say like, oh, npm run register contract, and then DAPI address, like that. But we would do just one of them. Yeah. And we could just write a loop in Bash that does all of them. I'm just a little curious of, how we would be able to not do it that way, but whatever. I just we should be able to do it without doing that is what I'm saying, but I just don't understand enough to be able to do that, I guess. I also don't really know the Bash language, so I'm going to ask ChatGPT for how I can loop over these. But yeah, I want to loop over those. I want to invoke this command, but
let's try a smaller set for just to start.
And then yeah, I want to pass in an environment variable. So I might be able to do it at the front. So let's just say address equals 123. And then this is me just testing to see if I know how to. And let's not do uppercase. Let's do ADR. Okay. So the reason why that didn't work is because let's try it again. No? Oh, wait. 1, 2, 3. And it works the first time, too. Okay. So that part works. So yeah, let's go to ChatGPT. Okay. I always say please to the AI, because once they put it in a Terminator and hook it up to a machine gun, you're gonna wish you were polite. Please write a bash program that iterates over these addresses and runs the command address followed by, let's say like ADR equals address npm run. Okay. And don't worry, I'm not going to just take its list of addresses, but uh-oh.
You're going to run out of tokens, man.
I know, I probably just cost them like $10. Okay. Convert the concept array, right? I mean, I don't know why I'm looking at it and doubting that this will work, because I actually don't know Bash. So why am I judging its code? Let's just try it. Let's just run it. Hopefully it doesn't install a virus on my computer and then tell some plant in China to start manufacturing the Terminator. Okay, so yeah, so we have addresses. Have you ever seen Person of Interest?
No.
Yeah, in that show, they do have a situation like that where there's a program that's like a very powerful AI that I think is sentient actually, and yeah, it like gets somebody to start manufacturing copies of itself, and so anyways. Okay, I have no idea if this even makes sense. But let's save it. Has shell. Okay, types depend on target shell and yours is unknown. Add a shell directive. What? Okay. There you go. Okay. It's a little bit dumb and with all this redundancy, but it should work if ChatGPT knows Bash. So we're not going to be able to call this, right? Because we have to give it permissions. So we do chmod plus x to add executable permissions. Look at that. Amazing. I moved the contract ID up, right? Because I wanted to see it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this is going to do them one at a time, maybe? Can we do them all at once? Oh yeah, see, it even says that. Can we run all of these commands in parallel? Using the ampersand at the end of each command and wait. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, we're doing the addresses thing again. Okay. Oh, that seems deceptively easy. You literally just put ampersand and wait. Okay, let's try it. Ampersand, wait. Yeah. You know what else? I should probably change this emit here, because this doesn't really help us figure out which one is erroring. So I could probably just nix that for now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try it. Look at that. ChatGPT is so smart. It knows Bash. And thank God, because I don't want to learn Bash. What? The contract IDs are the same now.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't doing that before, right?
I wasn't looking closely enough to see.
It's going to take a while to do this one, though. Well, it wouldn't have been the same because two of them were successful.
I think there was a difference in the way that you were doing them, though, because here you're doing them essentially independently.
Right.
But before in the JavaScript, when you were looping in the JavaScript, I think that would handle it differently.
Right. I was running all these from this. But yeah, it is giving me a different contract ID. But when I try to run them all at once, it was giving me the same contract ID. I wonder if it has to do with the timestamp, to be honest. That's just a wild guess. Well, I suppose I could just have patience and see if any of these fail. But I like how the one time we're like trying to debug this, we're trying to get it to fail, it just works every time.
Yeah.
Really, really likes to be difficult that way. It's like, you know what? Just to spite you, we're going to have a 100% success rate. Maybe someone else already fixed it. Maybe Dash Core like fixed something in the node and it interacts properly.
Maybe.
Oh.
That's not the error I'm looking for. That's not the error.
We used the same contract twice. I might have hit a button, to be honest. I might have hit That's so weird. If I knew why it was using the same contract ID, then I could just do it in JavaScript, but
Do you want to pull up while we're waiting for that? Do you want to pull up the Rust SDK? I want to see how similar they are in terms of
sure.
features, and I'm not exactly sure how to do that, but
I just want to look at the dependencies quick. Okay, so
sure.
we got SRC and we got a CRUD interface. Okay. So we got core, some kind of mock thing on core client, and we got an SDK. So let's open up SDK. And oh, this actually has some stuff in it. I was expecting a pass-through library. So what do we got? We got a new mock. And we got builders. Love builders. Amazing. Got a mock. What does this mean? I remember learning it. Yeah, not the UK meaning.
I think it's kind of an overloaded term, honestly, in the crypto space. I think
I thought I used only once. Okay. That makes sense, I guess. So what we could do is we could try to look at an outline for these files.
Doesn't Rust have like auto documentation? No, that's Go that does that. I don't know what does Rust do that same thing that Go does, where it can just look through your source code and like write the docs automatically.
Mm-hmm. That exists in a lot of places, and also people can make their own custom stuff for their own project.
Yeah.
So, in terms of files, let me actually just open this in the VS Code on the browser.
Get a rough idea of how much code there is in this, because this is very clean. It's written all within probably the last year rather than the last 10, 15 years.
Right. Oh yeah. There's your proof that you were telling me about before.
Yeah, and actually, I've been noticing Sam, the CTO of DCG, he's actually doing a pull request right now. If you looked on the issues, you'd probably or pull requests. Just do a find on proof. No? What? Hang on.
3 hours ago it was merged.
3 hours ago merged. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's the one I was looking for.
No, it looks like they're working on that actively.
Yeah. So one of the questions is like how would we do this pull this same feature into the JS SDK if
Well,
possible.
I mean, I haven't done this type of thing before, but I would presume what you'd have to do is you'd want to make it, I'm just thinking in terms of like a JavaScript wrapper. So if we have a way of calling into the WASM that we can compile from this, then we're going to have to marshal data back and forth. And so probably what that means is we're going to be passing in like a uint8 buffer of some kind or some kind of buffer. And so we'll have like a JavaScript object and we'll map it into a Rust or like we'll map it into bytes. So it'll be like the C ABI. And then we'll pass it into Rust, the WebAssembly. And then we might get it back in that format again. And we'll have to turn it back into a JavaScript object. I'm assuming that that's what you would have to do. But I haven't done this before. And I also don't know what would be the main things holding you back. I have seen someone, I was watching the creator of Zig actually talk about how they were using WebAssembly to bootstrap the compiler. And yeah, I remember them talking about how he wrote like a script or something to figure out there were a certain number of APIs that they needed to support. Because I think they were going to like ship a minimal version of WebAssembly. But if there are a number of like APIs, for example, that are used in this Rust SDK that are not accessible in WebAssembly, then maybe we would need to find some kind of port of those that would work for WebAssembly.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be the other.
What's the easiest way to find out what the API of the Rust SDK is?
Well,
like I just want to know what methods do they have and compare those with the JavaScript methods.
So the easiest way to do this is we want to use a tool that can do this. So I was thinking if we open this up, we can see this way. And we can look at these different objects. So that's one way of doing it. And this is just all the stuff that's inside of SDK. So let's open up a different one, I guess. Let's try platform.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. Mock. Nothing. Lib. Nothing. What is in here? Okay, just export stuff. Okay, so this is a bunch of error objects. Okay, that makes sense. It's an error.rs file. Okay. So instead of me clicking through all of these, what do you think is probably the most interesting one?
It looks like, wait, I saw a bunch of files that maybe those were the methods. Yeah, right here. Basically, this is it right here.
So yeah, we got broadcast identity, broadcast request, broadcast context. That's just an enum. Purchase document. So we got purchase document, wait for response, purchase document, and wait for response. Okay, you know what? Is this going to be written anywhere else, or is it implicitly exported? What is this? This is a trait for a purchase document. Okay. So, yeah, it's not going to be. This isn't like C where you have a .h file where it's going to have the same thing. It's going to just implicitly put it back out. So let's go back to what I was looking at before. Yeah, so we got purchase document.
Transition. Is there like a what would be the equivalent of like an index RS file that like brings them all in somewhere?
It's possible.
Transitions.rs. There we go. There we go.
So I wonder if I click on one of those. No, it just brings me to it. I wonder if the tooling is set up. What is this going to do? It gets me the definition there. I want to show. What am I trying to show? I'm trying to show methods, functions, show. Yeah, you can see we're pulling in transition here as well. I can do this. I don't know if that's helpful though. Authentication and transfer. All the purple ones are functions, if you're not aware. I think you got that. But broadcast request for new identity, broadcast request for state transition, build, bumper vision, calculate all funds except identity. Do any of these look familiar to you, like from the JavaScript one?
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, they look similar, but they look different also. So, like, document query is obviously getting all the documents. So it answers my high level question. Is it doesn't look like they've tried to keep naming conventions similar, even the naming conventions, which is fine.
Like the underscore, like the snake case.
No, not in that way, but like the API on the JavaScript SDK is things like platform.identities.get. And there may be one mapping. I'm just trying to see if if there is like some kind of semblance of a mapping where both of the SDKs have 90% of the same feature set in terms of like, I can create an identity, I can get all identities, I can get identities just kind of, I'm looking for high level similarities and differences.
Well, it's hard to give you high level here with this tool. There are some other tools out there. Also, it'd be nice if we just had like documentation that could tell us what you're looking for. Here's a checklist of things they haven't done. Do we have some kind of thing? What is this one in? This is inside of packages. This is inside of the Rust SDK. So here's read contract. Yeah, I don't think there's an easy way to deliver what you're asking for me based off of this tool. We could try source graph, but I don't know. I'm actually not like, I don't have like a giant list of all these different tools that could help us with something like this. But I mean, we can try. So we could search. What I want is to be able to just type in this. And there's a way to do that, I think. Okay, you know what? Let's just do something really stupid. Right, so it will let me put it in that way. So let's match that format. Okay. You know, the other thing is there's different Rust things. So there's Rust DAPI gRPC macros. Let's go all this stuff. Oh, here's a lot of code.
Yeah, I mean, platform itself is written in Rust. It's just, I mean, it used to be written in JavaScript, and that's the whole refactor was. Let's make this the back end that's running on the nodes in Rust. Okay.
Is there anyone on StreamYard that has a suggestion? Looks like maybe not.
I don't think so. I didn't reach out to anybody. I just today I wanted to get you familiar with and like looking into both of the SDKs, and we tried to track down and do a little bit of debugging on an error that I was seeing earlier this morning, but is intermittent, and so it's hard to reproduce. That's what we were trying to do. In doing so, I think I got the kind of the high level goal that I was going for, is to just get you introduced to both of the code bases and dive into them a little bit. I've got to go back to the drawing board to see what makes sense to try to tackle with this.
Sure.
And the high level concern or goal is that the JavaScript SDK is not as performant as I would expect it to be. And sometimes it has errors, and I would expect the JavaScript client to handle those errors a little bit better. Like, I don't want to have to manually, and nor would any of our users want to have to manually put in a specific DAPI address and then to get from an error to something that's working. So that's what I was trying to track down. But again, it was hard to reproduce that specific error.
Yeah, it looks like I ran out of money.
Oh, yeah. That's when we'd have to do a top up.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I was not able to reproduce the error this time.
Yeah, I think it's a good place to stop for tonight and just kind of regroup and think about what we want to do from here. There is still that, in another stream, we can look a little bit more specifically at what it would take to take the existing Rust library, Rust SDK, and try to do the JavaScript bindings for it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right terminology, but you know what I mean? Like, instead of having a JavaScript library at all, having a JavaScript SDK at all, you just wrap the Rust SDK and have JavaScript users use that. So we didn't.
I'm sure it would solve your performance problems.
Yeah, I mean, it's written completely differently from what I can see. So that's why I think DCG is kind of inclined to do it that way. And if that works, if that is,
it could also be better from a maintainability perspective, where you have one code base as opposed to two.
Absolutely, for sure, yeah, and that's why it would make sense, and that's why I think that they would want to do that, because I know that that's kind of what they're going for. We used to have a Java SDK, platform SDK for Android app, and I think they scrapped that already. And they're using the Rust SDK, I think, in the same way for Android. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's what they're doing.
I'm surprised that they don't already have it running in JavaScript then, if that was the plan. Because what I would have done, and maybe they have done this, would be as I'm making the new one that I want to run on multiple platforms, I would just have it set up from the start. It's this could also run in JavaScript, and I would just kind of keep it up to date as I go, as opposed to making it a big project later. Kind of like documentation. You could do all the documentation at the end. But a lot of times that's harder.
Yep.
If you just do a little bit every time you do a little bit of work. So,
Okay. Well, let's call it a day for that, for what we've done now, and we'll go back to the drawing board and see where we want to go from here.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Niles, and thanks anybody else who was tuning in. I know these are not exactly streams that I expect anybody to watch. I just put them out there just in case somebody's interested. So, but anyway, bye everyone.